So how do I, Tom Satori, end up with a successful and an efficient logo design every single time? Today's video is going to show you how I get from point A to point B with a real life project. You're going to be able to learn some essential skills for successful logo designs. Now, people often ask me, what font do I use for my videos? And so I'm just going to let you guys know that today I'm using the Aileron font family. Discussing the project with the client early on is really essential. You need to know everything about the client, their business, and also their target market. Now, every single project obviously needs a client, and so let's learn a thing or two about this specific client for this project that I worked on, and where it's going to take us along the journey of the logo design process. The client for today's project that we're going to be looking at reached out to me first. They described their situation and the niche that they operate in. Even from this initial early message, I pulled some keywords of interest that are going to help me later down the line to better understand the project. So obviously Jiu-Jitsu is one of them, and then teaching people, team, strong, and community. These words all describe the business and the overall feeling of the brand. And trying to think of the project in this way early on really will help you later down the line in the project. Now, very early on in the project, actually before you even design anything, you want to secure a contract. I've said this so many times on this channel, and I myself have fallen victim, not just once but twice, from not having a contract, and I lost out money and also precious time. So guys, if you want to familiarize yourself with how to actually use a contract and how to form one, I've got some videos at the end of this one all about contracts and graphic design. So in case you guys don't actually know, here's a brief description of what Jiu-Jitsu is. It's just the martial art that my logo design needs to be based around for the project. Now, mood boards are essential and a critical part of my design process, and they help me build a picture of the business and the client perfectly in my mind. I've said before about how much I like to use Miller notes, and I do use them for my various logo design projects because it's an online place to gather your ideas, your thoughts, your everything to do with the logo project, your inspiration. I use it to different degrees. Sometimes I'll just use it for a mood board, but other projects I will go the whole 9 yards and I will develop ideas, concepts, make notes, have a to-do list, and so on. You don't have to use Miller Note, and they're not sponsoring today's video, but that's what I prefer to use when I'm designing a logo. And after doing research and contemplating things, it was obvious to me that a serif font is not going to work with this logo design. It's way too formal and it doesn't fit the narrative for a martial arts or a kind of sporting logo design. But this should be obvious to most designers anyway. I actually asked the client in the initial stages to send over some keywords that relate to their brand and the message of the company, and these are some of the important ones that I pulled out. These keywords will help me build concepts later in the logo design process, and you yourself should aim to get these words from your clients as early on as possible. Now, one thing to note is that these keywords, they need to resonate and they need to make sense to the target market. So as an example, in this specific project, people who are going to sign up to a jiu-jitsu school or a class are going to want to have a sense of, community, togetherness, teamwork. And of course, it comes across as being strong and, robust in nature, because you don't want a weak or a kind of soft teacher or class when it comes to martial arts. So always think about the keywords relating back to the target market when you're designing a logo. Now, I didn't know a whole lot about Jiu-Jitsu when I embarked on this project. I knew a thing or two about it, but I wasn't someone who knew, the whole martial art inside out. And so, of course, I had to do some research. I had to study into what exactly Jiu-Jitsu is. This involved the history of Jiu-Jitsu. This involved lingo and, terminologies used by people who practice it, just so I fully understood what Jiu-Jitsu was all about. For concepts, I took the initial keywords that I gained from the client, and then I generated other keywords around these initial ones. So for example, here are some words for strong that I felt would relate back to the brand and the concept later. It's a good idea to do this for each of the original keywords. because in doing so, we can actually build concepts that are relevant around these words. And so these keywords are actually going to allow you to generate a concept or several concepts. And if you have been following along the process properly, these keywords will be relatable to the target market, the business, and also the niche sector that that brand operates in. And so after a lot of thinking and planning, I managed to come up with these word pairs, as you can see on screen. Each pair relates back to the brand, and they utilize keywords and can offer a fruitful concept for the logo design. When making these word pairs, I try to think about things in a visual way and how to demonstrate those word concepts in a visual manner. So for example, grip might be a fist in some way, but yeah, these are the things you need to think about. For the 4 combination pairs, I could also add jiu-jitsu at the very end of the brand name and incorporate that into the logo itself. But this is something I probably would talk to the client about as well before actually including it. So once I went with the final choice of the word pairing, I again generated words around that pair to come up with the concepts for the final chosen phrase. And as you can see, I'm going with iron grip, and so I tried to think about this visually and what words would communicate this message effectively and in a very simple way. One of the first concepts that came to my mind was a fist due to the word grip. And this is quite a cliche thing, but this is what I initially started to work with. The fist is quite obvious and too detailed, so I started to make simple shapes that could resemble a fist in some way, as you can see here. I also considered shape psychology and how that relates to martial arts and sports. Stability and strength are communicated by edged shapes and straight lines, so I think it's a good choice. Like I said, a serif font was never on the cards for this logo, but I finally went for a bold, impacting sans serif logo type, and this would fit in line with the brand a lot better than a serif font. Now from my research, I noted that martial art brands often went for sans serif fonts, and it does make sense. Another concept that I wanted to explore was that of using the G in grip. And again, I simplified things from a shape that was appealing but also relevant. I also added a hook section here that gave a kind of metallic feel, which again relates back to the iron part of the brand name, as iron is a metal. Small things like this are always good to consider throughout the entire logo design project. So I again applied more shape psychology, and I made sure to include straight edges so the logo does conform to a strong, robust nature. This fits in line with the brand, and also again back to the iron part of the logo identity. That being said, however, one of the keywords was community and also team. So I think having a circular shape here does relate back to the sense of having community and, friendship and teamwork. This is again shape psychology, and it is actually quite important. So I was headed in the final direction for the logo, and I felt that there was too much negative space right here. If the logo was set on top of logo type, it would just look a bit odd having this much space here. So I came up with several design solutions to resolve that issue, and these are the 3 logo design solutions that I managed to come up with. Each of them have qualities relating back to those keywords and also the brand. And the client and I finally settled on a design solution, and we were both really happy with it. I feel it's a strong, simple logo that links back to the main keywords of the brand, and it does exactly what it's set out to do. And so there was today's logo design process video using an actual project that I worked on last year back in 2019. What did you think of the final design outcome, and what did you think of today's video? I do read all of your guys' comments, so let me know what you want to see on the channel, and I will do my best to make that possible if I feel it resonates with most of the audience who watch this channel for graphic design resources, for tutorials, inspiration, and everything else. But of course guys, until next time, design your future today. Peace.